Good evening, everybody. I'm Kathleen from Make the Change, and it's Wednesday evening, and it's Let's Talk. And tonight we're going to be talking about loneliness. Now, I'm sure we have all experienced times of loneliness, and loneliness is different to being alone. We can function quite well on being alone, and sometimes we like to be alone, don't we? Have a bit of time just for ourselves so we can focus on what we want to do and how we want to do it. But loneliness is a very different thing, isn't it? Because sometimes we can feel lonely, in fact, when we are in a large group of people. And you know, when it's most upsetting is when you are around people that you are supposedly close to, so family, friends, your partners, your kids, and this is when it really starts to hurt, and and really has a play on your emotional and mental state. But it's sort of a catch-22 situation, isn't it? So is it that your mental state has made you feel lonely, or is the loneliness affected your mental and emotional state? But quite often when we're in times of turmoil or anguish, going through a very difficult period, we can feel this loneliness even when we've got people that we are very close to and that we love and we trust and respect around us. Or professional people as well. It can still feel as if you're very lonely, and this is often because perhaps you don't know how to express what you are saying. Perhaps you feel as if others won't understand, as if they don't care, as if they're not interested in listening to you. And if those are the feelings that you're having, then this is going to have a knock-on effect onto your emotional and mental state. But it is about what's going on in your mind, and it's trying to focus and find the right way for you to work out a good way of changing that feeling of loneliness or isolation. Because isolation and loneliness, if it is prolonged, is a very frightening place to be in, especially when you've got a lot of anxieties, a lot of stress, and you're going through that turmoil. You're perhaps going through a tragedy that is making you extremely emotional and extremely upset, and it's trying to find your way out of it. And when we are feeling like this, we can feel so focused and channeled on our own emotional feelings, our own thought processes, and really geared to how we've got to look after and support other people. Perhaps that is what makes it really difficult to work out the best way to do it, and to organise that frame of mind to be able to move a little bit closer or a little bit further away from feeling lonely. Now, yes, there are going to be times when we are lonely and we are on our own, but it's working out how you're going to start moving in the right direction to be able to express those concerns, to be able to get some connectivity so that you can move away from the loneliness. Now, there are lots and lots of great websites out there, and charities out there, which I'm going to just run through later. Okay, and you can always play back to jot those down. But it's about how do you get that connectivity back. Okay, well, if you want to, gain the support of the people who are close to you, friends and family or work colleagues, perhaps the place to start is have a little plan of what you want to say. Write it down. Have a little practice at it. But also I think what is really important is to express to these people that you are finding it difficult. All right, because then that will make them focus a little bit more on what you're saying and how they respond to you. All right, if you don't explain to them that you're finding it really, really difficult to describe your thoughts and your feelings, they're not going to know. And this is the trouble when we're in times of real anguish, real anxiety. We all experience it in different ways. All right, and the feelings are, everybody's feelings have different intensities, and we all associate all of these words and all of these feelings in a slightly different way. So it's very, very important to first of all express and explain why you're finding it so difficult to express what you're going to say, and you're struggling to find the right words to express it. Okay, so that's the first step. If you are finding it difficult to talk to the people that then this is where going to your doctor, going to see your nurse, perhaps using some of the charities like Samaritans, they're a fabulous one, like Mind, and like I said, I'll go through all the others again. That is what they are there for, to listen to you. But if you go to the doctor or the nurse, then they will refer you on to the right people, okay, to get professional help. There's the doctors, your nurses, your counsellors, your mentors, life coaches, people like myself who are trained to, listen and to help, the client find the right way to get through this very muddy, this very foggy place that they are in at the moment. So if it's not so much about expressing something very difficult and you just feel very, very lonely, perhaps because you've lost you've moved area, you've moved jobs, or people that have moved away, then have a little think about what you're interested in. Because then if you know what your interests are, if you know where you want to be progressing, perhaps with a new hobby or a new sport, something like that, if you can go to a club or an evening class, something like that, then you are going to be with like-minded people, and so you've already got a connection with other people because you're there for the same reason. Okay, you're all there to learn something new or to develop on what you already know, and so there you've already got a good conversation starter to be able to help you start making a little building new relationships and making new bonds. And unfortunately at times like this, when you are feeling lonely, often the last thing you want to do is go out into a social setting. But if you want to break the back of this, then it is about having to push yourself. It is about having to push your boundaries and take a leap of faith in yourself. You're going to have to take the risk, okay? And because if you don't, you're going to become more and more, you're going to find you will become more and more enclosed in your own shell, in your own thought process, and then find it even more difficult to break out of that and start the communication process going. So say, for example, you are going to a party or you are starting a new job. Both very, very, you know, difficult situations where people get really quite anxious about, especially if you don't know many people there. You know, we've all done it. We've all been to a party. We've all been to a wedding where we haven't known many people. And are you just going to sit there, or do you want to interact with other people? Okay, so the ideal place to start is have some little conversation starters. You know, we are renowned in the great British public to talk about the weather. Okay, and it's been beautiful out there today. You know, great sunset this morning. Great sunrise this morning, great sunset tonight, absolutely gorgeous weather. It feels like the middle of summer. What a great place to start conversation. Okay, because everybody's got an opinion on the weather. All right, or perhaps it's something else about holidays or pets, you know, and sometimes it's surprising when you do actually start a conversation off what connections or what similar interests you have as other people. So have a little plan. Write down some little conversation starters and have a little practice. Have a little practice in the mirror. You know, I know can be very uncomfortable. You know, I've talked about this before with self-talk and, you know, helping your mindset and talking to yourself by looking yourself in the eye and, you know, going through how you want to be feeling the next day. Well, that is exactly the same process, because, you know, when you go and you talk to somebody new for the first time, isn't it great when somebody looks you in the eye and talks to you with real connectivity? I'm not mean staring like this, you know, because that's really off-putting, but just getting eye contact so that you can get some good connectivity going between yourselves and really start to build up a conversation. And if you're finding it hard and they're not really responding, well, you know, it's not a rejection of you. It's just perhaps not meant to be, and for some reason you're not gelling with that person, or that person, you know, that person might have communication, you know, and conversation problems as well. So don't take it as a negative on you. Find a little excuse, say lovely to meet you, great for it, you know, thanks for the chat, and then move on to the next people. Make a little excuse, I need to just nip to the ladies or the gents, you know, and then go and find somebody else to talk to and start the whole process off again. Because I bet you will find somebody there that you can talk to and relate to and have a really nice conversation with. So what I'm going to do is just run through this list of charities. Okay, so a lot of this is quite specific, but it's about, you know, finding the one that is right for you. Okay, so I talked about Samaritans, I talked about Mind, you've got Relate. Some of these I'd never even heard of. Side by Side, The Silver Line, Volunteer England, Volunteer Wales, Web of Loneliness, Mind, Age UK, Carers UK, Contact the Elderly, Do It Trust, Ella Friends, Empty Closets, Gingerbread, LGBT Consortium, Meetup.com, Mumsnet, Novo. So, just to end, okay, when you are going to have that conversation with somebody new, or broach the subject with a friend or family, or, you know, a work colleague, you're going to feel a little bit nervous about it. All right, and that is totally understandable, because you're going to be bearing your soul, you're going to be bearing and expressing something that is, you know, has a lot of feeling behind it. And, you know, when we do that, you know, we're putting ourselves on the line and we're going to get nervous about it. All right, but the important thing is to remember that, you know, lots of other people find it difficult to express their emotion as well. You're not the only one. Even though it might feel like it, I can promise you, you're not the only one. All right, a lot of people really struggle with this. Okay, but it's about remembering to breathe. Okay, nice gentle breaths, filling up your lungs, because that breathing will help calm your nerves and it'll help concentrate your mind. Plus it's going to be fueling your body so that you can think more clearly, and when you're thinking more clearly you can express yourself more clearly. Okay, I talked about it before. Plan what you're going to say, write it down. And the great thing is, you know, if you are going into a new environment, ask questions, because people love to talk about themselves. You hear this a lot, I'm sure you have. People love to hear, you know, talk about themselves and, you know, the great holiday they've had, or their pets, or their kids, you know, or, you know, their work, their promotion, all of these sorts of things. So ask some great questions, and that is a sure sign that you're going to start getting some connectivity and some conversation. And from then it'll be surprising how, I hope, the conversation will then flow and you will find it a little bit easier. But going back to the, you know, bearing your soul, is go back to what I said before. Explain at the very beginning that you're finding it hard to express yourself, and then the other person will have a bit more, be a bit more in tune with you, and will be able to focus better on what you're saying. And then that shows that you are important to them and that they want to help you. Okay, from saying that little sentence, I'm finding it difficult to communicate, that is the cue for them to step up and really to support you. So I hope that that helps with, you know, finding a way out of the loneliness that you might be experiencing. But, you know, if you need some extra support on, you know, finding your way out of that muddy, foggy mindset where you can't find a way out, then, you know, drop me a line, leave me a message, and I will get back to you and, you know, listen to you and help you find a way for a clearer way forwards. So that is Let's Talk Loneliness for tonight. I'm going to be speaking to you again next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and in the meantime, have a great evening, have a great week, sleep well and breathe. Bye bye now.